What's your favorite horror podcast?
It's cute, Rob. Hi, guys. Welcome back to Bitch, I Ain't Scared.
Good answer.
It's the only answer. I'm Nate the Fool.
And Rob the Scholar.
So if you guys haven't started following us by now, stop being lame. And just follow us.
Yes.
Subscribe.
We are two gay boys who love horror movies, and we are here for your listening pleasure as we talk all horror in many different genres. And we thank you again for listening. Today is the last week of our Wes Craven month. Our fascination with this genius of a director, and we're gonna close out this month talking about the Scream franchise, which is something he directed all the way through. So I'm excited.
I got a question for you, Rob.
Oh, question for me. Okay.
I never have questions. Which do you think is the superior franchise, Nightmare on Elm Street or Scream?
How dare you ask me that on a whim?
I can ask you whatever I want.
Okay, well, so, I mean, there's obviously a vast difference between the two. One of them is only 4, while the other is 7.
Yeah, but still, which of the franchise do you think is superior? And these are both, I mean, I have an answer, but, these are both things that Wes was heavily involved with. He was there from the beginning.
Yeah.
So
I will forever be on Team Freddy, but as far as your question goes, I'm gonna give the franchise as a whole to Scream. I think as a whole it does bring something new and interesting to the table each entry, and it's always up to its time each time there is a sequel. So versus some of the entries that are from Freddy Krueger, I would say Scream gets my vote on that.
God damn it, Rob.
You expected me to say Nightmare, huh?
I just want us to disagree sometimes.
Well, so here's the thing. If I said Nightmare on Elm Street, I mean, that would sort of say that I wasn't too disappointed with some of the entries from there, and that'll be a lie. Now, if you ask me character, icon, as I said before, Team Freddy all the way. You can't get me to change my mind on any other icon. So that is probably something we may disagree on. But as a franchise, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
So before we get started, there are a couple of things that I do want to announce. Just some stuff that I heard in the news, and then I also want to correct something that I said last week during our discussion of some of the horror TV we were talking about. And I mentioned to you that there was a specific star from Witches of East End that also appeared in Point Pleasant. And you know of both shows, but again, for the sake of this show being very factual and having correct information.
Are we factual?
Look, if I catch something, I'd rather announce it and just correct it. So it's something small, but again, the actor who was in Witches of East End is Eric Winter, and I referred him to the gentleman that is on Point Pleasant, but that's not the same guy. It's actually a guy named Sam Page. And I swear, if you were to see a picture of these two, you'd probably make the same conclusion. But yes, those are totally two different actors, and I just want to make sure, that those are not the same person. And yeah, so that was my bad. And I also wanted to give you an update about another thing we talked about last week, which was I rewatched They.
Oh, yeah. What'd you think of it?
So my mind didn't change.
Okay.
I still couldn't get into it as much as I thought I would. But here's what I'll say. I did notice that you did see sort of the monsters more visually than I remembered. They did show stuff, and I think
like
that
when she's in the closet.
Yeah, I think there was actual scene, I think, with the Ethan Embry's girl. I forget her name, but remember?
When she's in the pool.
Yes, but there was a scene, I think, with her where she's looking in this air vent in her home. Yeah. And the monster is sort of like super still. So you can see this black image. Something wants to move, but it doesn't. And I think that was super creepy. But yeah, it's that final girl. I just can't get over her, and just watching her for 90 minutes was just so annoying. But other than that, yeah, I just couldn't get into it. So I guess my first impressions were probably correct. But yeah, I watched it, and yeah, I just wanted to update you on that I did watch it, and yeah.
Well, Rob,
so that's something we disagree on.
I'm proud of you for doing things that are not good for you. I'm not gonna watch something if I thought it was bullshit the first time. So I commend you for that.
Well, I know that sometimes I'll read watch stuff, and yeah, my mind sometimes tend to change, good or bad. But yeah,
the only time that happened for me was when I watched Catwoman with my niece. Yeah,
okay.
Probably because I was watching it with a 5-year-old. I was like, you know what? She's a superhero on TV. This is great.
This is good. Yeah. And also for anyone listening, when this is posted, you'll probably have about one more full day to watch Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream on Netflix. It will be removed on September 1st for who knows how long. So if you want to watch either one of those for free, do it now.
Jeez. I mean, are they going to bring it back in October? It seems kind of pointless.
I know. I don't know why. And I know that Wes Craven's New Nightmare is on there, but I didn't see that on the list of removal. So I guess it's just those specific two.
All right.
Yeah. So our topic today is the Scream franchise. And yeah, we'll basically just talk about each one in depth. But I also wanted to give people who are listening an opportunity to have a little hearsay on what goes on our Bitch I Ain't Scared show. After we speak about each movie, we're going to give you a trivia question to answer. By the end of our episode, you'll have 4 questions to email us the answers for, and we'll give the email at the end. But yeah, so just pay attention throughout. And we'll give you these questions. We'll pick a winner at random through the emails that we get. And if you happen to win, we are giving you an opportunity to pick the topic of one of our episodes, as well as a movie that you would like us to watch and review on the show. So that gives you guys an opportunity to just be a little bit more involved with our show and a little bit fun for us. And hopefully we get a lot of entries with some answers. And then we'll announce the winner on next week's episode.
Yes.
Okay. So Scream. You love this franchise.
I do.
Yes.
It's the very first one that I loved. Everything else before that was shit. Or it was just too scary. I was a little kid. So when this came along, I didn't see it until it was in the dollar theater. I didn't see it when it first came out. But yeah, it scared the hell out of me. And it was entertaining and funny.
You saw this with friends, right?
No, I saw this with my family. I was a child. I couldn't go to the movies.
I ended up seeing this by myself, but if I remember correctly, I was working at the theater when this came out. Or no, maybe I wasn't. Maybe I just went by myself. I can't remember if I was there or not. But yeah, I ended up seeing it alone. I didn't really expect too much. I thought it was just going to be any old horror movie. I didn't expect it to be that good. And so walking out, I was like, damn, I didn't see this with anybody. But to each their own. And it was like during the day, the theater was barely packed. And this was something that I actually read. The movie actually didn't do very well when it first came out.
No, it was a slow build.
Yeah, it was a word of mouth sort of thing. I didn't know that. I thought it was like good right from the gate, but
I think that that's a really big compliment for any film or anything that you're working on. If it slowly builds, I know everyone's excited when something hits number 1 right away, but it's like it made $100 million over the course of its time in the theater, and it slowly did that. You know, because people were just like, it's amazing and you have to go check it out. You just have to watch it. So, I think, look, I'm not even going to talk about no motherfucking spoilers, okay? These movies have been out for a long time, and you know that I love Scream, so if you want to be salty about it,
I think people who know that this episode is strictly about the franchise. I mean, we've been boosting it up all month. We're definitely going to be talking about spoilers. So if you haven't seen the franchise,
you haven't seen the first 10 minutes of Scream, I mean, I can't help you. Okay,
yeah, so but just watch. Yeah, we advise watch and then come back. Either way, maybe you'll enjoy hearing it and then watching it.
I'm talking to you, Sean.
Oh yeah, Sean might hear this. Right, that's right.
Jesus. Yeah, that was the first time that I saw that, because they definitely, I mean, this is when a trailer is well done, because we all definitely, I don't even know if it was like, oh, Drew Barrymore is the main character, but you didn't think that she was gonna like bite it in 10 minutes. It's Drew Barrymore. And they did a good job of showing us enough of the story without giving anything away. So when it happened, it was like, oh shit.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time with Casey, Drew Barrymore. Mm-hmm. Like, we talked a lot. We found out she had a boyfriend and what kind of movie she's like, and she's a star, and it's like usually you don't spend that much time talking to the first victim, but because we didn't know she was, it's like, oh, we're gonna know her, she must be the lead, and yada yada, and had no clue.
I mean, and also to just take her out like that, I mean, it was pretty gory. I mean, taking out her boyfriend was one thing. I don't know if that poor man has worked since, but it was like, oh, it's terrible, but but then when to do the same thing to her 5 minutes later, like, oh.
So let me just say, when they went through the trivia questions, I was right there with her. I was listening to these questions, and I was like, I'm going to answer them, and I better get them right. And the first was easy or whatever, and then she got to Friday the 13th. And here's the thing, I damn, that was such a tricky question, because when you are scared, for one, you're not thinking straight, and you just want things to end, and so she just said the first thing that came to her mind.
Well, that would be what would come to all of our minds. Yeah. Also, they had already set it up. It was sort of like it's a psychological trick. I mean, they had already talked about Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason.
It's a huge word association.
And also, at that time, I hadn't seen Friday the 13th. I hadn't seen any of the originals.
At that
point. So well, I knew Jason. Jason is the killer. Nobody in their right mind was going to say Mrs. Voorhees. It doesn't matter. And you just she's forget. The first movie. I mean, it's all about Jason. There have been 50 movies, and it's Jason.
And it's funny how we're so used to Jason that most people forgot about the first one, and it's so odd that people would forget the original.
It was devastating. And
so, like, I'm hearing her say that, and I was just so excited because she got it right. And then they reminded us that it was Mrs. Voorhees, and I'm in this theater looking at myself like, I can't believe I just said that. And I was pissed because I was like, I would be dead. And I was like, this is fucking good. This is really good.
You wouldn't be dead.
Well, I wouldn't be dead. Oh yeah, that's right. That was for
be dead.
That was for him.
So I mean, hey, it sucked. I mean, I remember being like, no, she got it right. She got it right. What are you talking about? And it's like, I didn't know. It's like, what are you talking about, Mrs. Voorhees? I don't understand. It was bad.
Did you happen to see the mask of Ghostface before seeing this movie?
No, I don't think I've ever seen that. I don't think I'd ever seen that costume before.
Okay, because
I mean, and I don't think it was like a big mass-produced thing either until.
So, like, when she looks in the window and he turns around, that is the first time I had ever seen that image, and that scared the crap out of me. I jumped so hard when that happened. And fun fact, I read that particular moment when he turns around and busts through the window and she hits him with the phone, that's Wes Craven under that mask.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
That's funny.
And Bob Weinstein didn't even like that mask. He was like, it's not scary enough. We don't like it. You've got to change it. But that scene, when they filmed it and they showed it to him, that's when he turned around and was like, we'll keep the mask.
It's funny because I don't know if you've noticed, but throughout the film, the mask changes slightly.
The franchise, right?
No, the movie.
Oh, the movie. Oh, you think, really?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know this.
At the beginning, it does look slightly silly because the face is smaller. So it's like there's this small face on the body of this man.
Yeah.
And then later, as the film progresses, like even when the kid runs down the hallway screaming and freaking out, he has the longer mask. And then I think after that, when they're like, when he's in the garage with Tatum, when he's behind Randy on the couch, it's the longer mask. But in the beginning of the movie, it's not the long version that all of the other movies have. And I guess they're all slightly different, but that first glimpse of the mask when he's chasing Casey through the yard, it looks like, watch it again and you'll see it's like, it just looks, it looks different.
Well, most movies aren't filmed in chronological order, so I'm sure after they filmed that, they could have changed the mask.
No, I mean, I'm sure they did. It's just, it's funny that it's different. Yeah. I don't know why.
I try and find the subtle differences between those masks throughout the movies. I don't see them that clearly, but I know that there is
for the other ones, I can't tell. It's too subtle. But for that one, you can see it. It's a different mask.
But that was a very important scene, and just for horror genre in general, because you don't usually see that happening. It usually happens in the following, when a lead character will probably die in the very 2 seconds of the sequel. But for it to happen like now, like that was pretty important, and Drew knew this. That's the thing. She knew that that would impact and become such a big surprise.
She's
and that's
so
why
full of herself.
Well, that's why she chose not to take the role.
I mean, she knew, and I mean, it was a very good collaborative effort for everyone to be like, yeah, let's let her do it. Let's do this. This will be a really big shock, and and I mean, it would have been a totally different movie if she had been Sydney.
It sure would.
Who knows if it would have gone on to be this series?
Yeah.
With the same characters. Who knows? So I think they made a good decision.
So in your acting career, would it pain you to die in your films? Not all the time, but just in general, because you know how bigger stars for some reason feel they have to be the lead, therefore you can't kill me. What's your take on like being a victim in a movie?
Oh, it just depends. I mean, if that's all I ever did was die, that would be kind of sad.
I wouldn't, but just like one particular movie in general, would you care?
For something like this, no. Okay. Because it was a big move.
Yeah.
It was something that people remember. Even if they hate the movie, they remember that shit. Because it hadn't really been done before. I think, I'm sure somebody would correct me, be like, no. There was this other horror film, and I don't know. I don't know. I've seen things where people are killed quickly. I mean, even like the sequel to Friday the 13th, they kill off the main girl right away. But also, she didn't want to be part of the franchise anymore because it was so violent. So, they've done stuff. But to just have first movie off the bat, and I don't know. I'd never seen it before.
Yeah.
So, as an actor, I think if it's going to like make sense and make people react in a big way, I would do it. To just die in any old horror movie, it depends on what the character's doing. I mean, and
there are some people who just feel like I'm too big of a star to just die in the first 5 minutes. I mean, I can go off topic and go on to other movies aside from horror where they've done this, but they've always had every now and then a big star just bite it in the first 5 minutes or before the actual movie plot starts.
But this was after Scream.
Yeah, this is after,
and so they set that precedent. So now we see it, and I think after Scream we kind of always saw it coming. Whenever we would watch any other movie like Valentine or something in that same era, we knew.
Yeah.
The first person we see is probably going to die because that's the formula that has been popularized. I don't think they do it so much anymore. I think that's kind of faded off.
So, Miss Neve Campbell, do you like her as our lead girl?
It's a silly question, Rob. Yes, I love Neve Campbell. I still love her. She's on House of Cards. I love her. She was the best choice. I mean, they offered it to a lot of other actresses. They offered it to Drew Barrymore. They offered it to Alicia Silverstone. They offered it to Molly Ringwald. And that was Kevin Williamson's dream.
Yeah.
But she was like, dude, I don't want to play a fucking 17-year-old. I'm a grown-ass woman. And man, this might have been the ticket for Molly. Yeah. Because she hadn't really done anything. She hadn't been able to break into adult roles.
Well, she did a show. It was like, it's a teen like comedy.
But I'm saying then
Okay.
She was trying to get into films.
Oh, you're talking about
And-
okay, back then, yeah.
You know, this might have been. I mean, yeah, it was another teen role, but
Yeah.
it could have been. It could have been something for her, because she still looked young enough,
Yeah.
and she just didn't want to do it. But hey, it worked out. I think Neve Campbell was the right choice in this particular movie. I think the casting choices were all perfect.
They were
Everybody's-
pretty good.
They're all who they should be.
Yeah.
Because you see all the other people who were considered, like, and Rebecca Gayheart, she really wanted to be in this movie. She wanted to be Tatum so bad, and you know, I don't know how that would have worked. I don't know.
I preferred her in Urban Legend anyway, so yeah.
Not gonna talk about that. Yeah, there's just lots of other people who were considered. Melinda Clark from Night of the Living Dead 3. She was considered for Tatum too, but you know, they made the right choices.
Yeah, I do
So-
like the cast too.
They meshed well, and I think in comparison to Nightmare, just a slight comparison, because Wes directed and wrote that. This is, you know, that's the collaborative effort, because this was written by someone else, but it's a really good script.
Yes.
And with all of these different elements, you never know how things will turn out, because if Wes hadn't directed it, who knows how it would have looked visually. If they had taken it away from Kevin Williamson and had someone else rewrite it, which we'll get to that later, you know, it looks different, and you can see how things look and feel different when someone else takes someone's work and changes it. So this was perfect, in my opinion.
And yeah, give it up to Drew again, because honestly, if it wasn't for her, we probably wouldn't have Wes directing it. He didn't want to do it. He was just like, I'm trying to get out of horror at the moment. It's not my thing. And then when he found out Drew was cast, he was like, okay, I'll work with her. So yay for that, because I can't see anybody else doing this movie, honestly.
I mean, it's funny how she was able to call the shots so much, but she's Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
So kudos to all those people involved. Yeah, the first movie, it changed the game for me. That's when I became interested in the horror genre. And you know, people can say it now, it's like it's dated. I mean, yeah, we have cell phones, we have caller ID, all sorts of things. There are cameras everywhere. It's not, you know, you feel a little safer. But there are still parts of the country where you're out in the middle of nowhere and
signals die and you can't call anyone. And
no, a garage door is not going to kill you because it won't lift you up. But still, that scene is iconic.
yeah.
It's not realistic, but still, it's like, it's fun. Yeah.
So I was just happy to see somebody, maybe not, well, not as, I'm not as intense as Randy, but it was really nice to see just a guy who's into movies as much as I am. And it was nice to see that and relate to him. And when I watched it, I really did not want him to die, because I needed people like him to live in these situations. And Randy was a definite awakening for me to embrace my geekiness and to not be ashamed of liking horror and all that good stuff. So I was very appreciative for his character back then. Yeah.
That's nice. Thanks, Randy. I think this was one of those movies where I thought everyone was going to die, almost.
Yeah.
Except for maybe one person. But, you know, they faked us out. It's just, I wish I could be on set for some of these things to see the progression of, I mean, because, you know, I mean, some people were supposed to die, like Dewey.
Mm-hmm.
But people loved him so much. So, it's like, how do you know people loved him? Was there some sort of test screening and then you just throw him in at the end? I don't know. Oh, no, it wasn't even a test screening. It was just at the end. He decided, let's shoot this real quick and just in case.
Yeah.
So, all of these things, you never know how, like, it could have changed the course of the entire series. And they didn't even know they had a series at the time. So, this was such a big deal. It's like, I get very nostalgic thinking about it. You know, even like watching the credits. I mean, I watch the credits, for God's sakes. I don't watch the credits for most things, but it's like
With that Scream song at the end.
their faces popping up. It's
I know.
This is such a big deal. You know, all of the pop culture references. It was very real for most people. And I wasn't a teenager. I felt like a teenager watching this movie, but still, I got a lot of the references and things. And I can say after that, it slowly started to change. With each passing movie, I don't know what was happening, because it wasn't like I got so much older, because they came out pretty close to each other for the most part. But with each one, it was like the references weren't as clever. This one, things were clever. Things were, a lot of snarky humor.
No, yeah, I thought this movie was a lot of fun to watch, and we did give a shit about everyone on screen as well.
Exactly, yeah.
And they also did a really good job keeping the mystery up without it being completely obvious or just way too hard to figure out.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, what I usually do is I look at people who are just not in the scene. If you just disappear for half of the movie, then you're the killer until proven otherwise. And they managed to work in everybody to kind of be visible when they needed to be, to make sure that we didn't know who it was. And I thought that was really good writing, and hopefully they were just thinking about that.
It was good touch. I mean, with all the little red herrings, like they would show the shoes.
Everyone had on those damn boots. Like, what was
like? What?
I know
everything, like all of these little things to mislead us. I mean, it worked. It worked. It was all.
And I think I was like really too into it to think. But, the minute I did see the shoes and the phone fall out of, Billy's coat, I was just like, oh, yeah, he did it. What, like, no, this is not right. Get him. He did it,
And I think when that happened, I don't know. I mean, I think it was kind of like, oh, shit. Yeah. But I don't think I felt like he did it in that moment. I didn't think so.
Yeah.
And, he was creepy and scary, but it's like, man, they took us for a ride.
Yes.
And I believed it, damn it.
Yes, they did. I actually had the opportunity to show this to a couple of friends of mine, and they had never seen this series. They've never been spoiled of it. And they're crazy. Considered millennials. So when you mentioned that this movie is a little outdated, it was really nice to be able to observe their reaction to things that they're used to having, and looking at this movie like, oh, well, this wouldn't happen now, so yada yada. They actually reacted as if they had saw it in the 90s.
Oh, okay.
It was really interesting to see them still be into it as much as they were, even if maybe they didn't know what Halloween was or Freddy Krueger or the references that were being put in. And they didn't look at me and be like, oh, why didn't she have caller ID? They knew the times when this took place, and understood exactly the limitations, but they knew who Drew Barrymore was, so they were completely shocked when she passed. Like, both of them was just like, wait, no, she didn't just die. And I was like, wow, it still works in 2017. These guys are still affected the way that we felt back then. So you can honestly say that this movie got better with age. And I just thought, but they both enjoyed it, and they didn't guess who it was or anything like that, and they were into it. And the two of them have watched horror, obviously, and so even watching how horror is made even today, they still found it suspenseful to watch something like that came into the 90s. So that was really cool, and they both liked it. So
very cool.
One thing that I did want to ask you, if you noticed this, I don't know the last time you watched Scream, but they were given the rules, and one of them was never say I'll be right back. Gail says it, but she lives.
Oh, and you know what? And it's so funny because that's not what she says.
Exactly.
You can see that ADR.
That's what I wanted to bring up. If you noticed, she doesn't mouth "I'll be right back," and it definitely sounds like it was recorded after it was filmed.
I think what she said to him was, "Watch watch the video or something.
Yes.
But it's like Dewey standing right there.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't want to like give off what she's up to.
So they probably corrected.
That's funny though that you point that out, because I didn't even think about the rules. But as we see with this movie, they establish these rules, and the rules do not keep.
Yeah.
Sydney has sex, and
she lives. Yeah.
Kills them, so she's good. So kids, it's fine. Look, if you want to express yourself sexually, don't be stupid, and don't get pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah. For Mean Girls, you will get pregnant and you will die. But just, those rules really don't apply. It's not like an ironclad thing anymore. That was very much the 80s, where it's like if you're promiscuous, if you're naked, then you'll die. It's not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Even though, they do bring it up later in the series, so I don't know why it applies to some people. But yeah, Sydney beat it, so I guess Gail can say she'll be right back, and she obviously
just
was right back.
lived. Yeah. Well, I was
Gail
hoping that Wes Craven did this in his next films, but the cameo that he had before the principal bit the dust, I really liked that. Did he really?
He did one in the second one.
Oh, he did.
But I've never seen it.
Okay.
I can't find him.
Do you remember at what part it said that he's
I don't
at?
remember off the top of my head.
I will then look that up and try and figure that out.
I'm pretty sure he's in all the first three.
Okay.
And he did the fourth one, but then they cut the scene out.
Okay.
So you don't see him.
Wow, I only remember him from the first one. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
because it's so blatant that it's him, or at least it's a character talking. The other ones, I don't think he's really talking. He's just there, like he's like a doctor on a clipboard or something.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be as obvious. But.
All right. So let's talk about the I guess reveal of our Ghostface killer. What did you think about that initial reaction? If
we
you
all
remember,
thought he was dead. Shit. I remember watching it after it was on video with my sister and her friends, and one of them had never seen it. She was like, "There's no hole in his shirt. That's bad effects." When he got stabbed, and my sister and I are like,
yeah, can't say anything.
Like, you're right. There are no holes in the shirt, but it just all happened so quickly. You're just like, "Dad." And even there's like a shot where there's no blood on the knife, and then the next shot he has the blood and he's wiping it. So I was like, oh, there's a clean knife, and there's lots of little things. So it's like if you had really paid attention, but I think if you were paying attention like that, you're not enjoying the movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But what perfect timing. I mean, did he know he was going to have sex with her upstairs? Did he know he'd be in that room at that time? He could have easily walked in while they're like mid into it for like the second time they'd done it. I mean, yeah, it's a movie. I get it, but it's just funny how they like planned that to a T.
I'm sure he waited. You can hear people having sex.
Yeah.
So he had to wait until they sealed the deal. But yeah.
And that house is bigger than I thought. I mean, he was running around in that costume and no one noticed.
Well, everyone was gone by then.
Well, I'm talking about even when he goes to the garage to get Tatum. It's like, wow, it was on the other. You can't even hear her die either. And that's like, I mean, yeah, there's music going around, but wow, like your house is too big. When
it's funny because it's like, well, and I don't know. I don't think he was running around. I think he was in the garage. Just like, I mean, he asked her to go get him beer. And of course, it's like later we understand. Oh, there's two of them. So you think it's kind of weird, like she's suddenly locked out. He fucking locked her out, and Billy was just chilling in the garage waiting for her. So, yeah, that was orchestrated.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, I was pretty shocked to see. I don't think I've ever witnessed two killers before, and I knew for a fact. Well, not for a fact. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. I knew that Stu was involved. Like, there was just no way around it. Like, he just, at that party specifically, he was just gone too many times. And then all of a sudden he comes around and he's like, oh, Randy did it, Randy. And I'm just like, no, where were you this whole time? And, he's crying over Tatum, but I'm like, no, it ain't.
He's doing way too much.
I know. And then, I mean, in just looking at those two, obviously the killer was above Randy when he was watching the movie. And so, obviously, unless they knew that camera was there, which, by the way, is evidence they never brought up, like, the whole thing was being filmed. So it's even though they good prevailed, they did have evidence and they didn't know it was there. But yeah, I was like, between the two of them, I knew it was Stu. But when Billy turned around and was like, we all go a little mad, I'm like, fuck me, what did I just miss? And then he comes around the corner, I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
He had the balls to do two fucking killers. I was just so shocked, but very good.
And the last thing I'll say, I feel like we could talk about this one all day.
Yeah.
But the last thing I will say is that with the first movie, they did set the precedent that anything could happen. You believed it. Mm-hmm. So, yes, you thought that at any moment, any of the characters could die. It could go. And everybody was a suspect for the most part.
Yeah.
I never really thought that Sidney or Tatum were really suspects. Maybe kind of Tatum, but not really. Not really. You would have seen that costume just coming out from the chest area a little too far. Like, Tatum? It's got to be Tatum under there. So, yeah. Are you about to reveal some trivia?
Yeah, no, I mean, unless you had some other stuff to talk about from the first one. Okay, well, yeah, Scream definitely just started something really cool and couldn't wait for there to be more. And it was nice to get a killer who's actually human as well. So I just thought that was a good one too. But okay, so the first trivia question that we're going to give everyone is Kevin Williamson's inspiration for Scream actually came from a true story of what famous killer that took place in Florida. So here's what I want. I want you to give me the killer's nickname that they use for the papers, as well as his real actual name of the guy who was murdering these people in Florida.
Gosh, so thorough.
I know. Yeah, no, I'm very specific.
All right.
So yeah, that is the first trivia question. And I'll repeat all of them at the end too.
Wow. All right.
Moving
on to my favorite of the series.
It's your favorite one.
It's my favorite one. It is. Simply because it matched the first one in pretty much every way, and then it surpassed it, slightly. And I was just so excited. I've already mentioned this before, but I was just so excited and overwhelmed, and I couldn't believe that they were making another one.
Yeah.
And again, with this trailer, the way that they edited shit, you just couldn't tell what was happening. You couldn't tell. I mean, they really made me believe that Jada Pinkett was going to be in at least 3 different scenes.
Yeah.
I really did.
Well, I mean, yeah, they put her on the poster, and it's like,
put her on the
we've got some
poster.
black people in the movie now. They're not just going to take her out in the first one.
So,
come on.
There's something I will say about that. So when they were casting Maureen, they brought in a lot of different actresses, and they didn't bring in black actresresses.
Okay.
They brought in Rebecca Gay Hart. Okay. She just wanted to be in this movie so bad.
She's had to do it.
She wanted to be it. So when they chose her, I mean, they clearly wrote it and tailored it for her. Jada Pinkett is a hood actress. She has been in a lot of different movies, like Menace to Society. She was in Jason's Lyrics. She was in... I can't think of the movie. It's right there.
Are you talking about Juice?
No, I don't think
was she in Juice?
No, she wasn't in Juice.
Oh, she wasn't in Juice. Okay.
She was in the movie with Queen Latifah and Vivica. They were
Set It Off.
Set It Off. Just the year before, she was in Set It Off. So it's like she had this resume of being, like a black actress. She wasn't just some generic woman. She, I feel like it was very intentional to have her in the movie. And a lot of people would say like, oh, it's like they just put her in there and they killed her. She's a black character. And it's like, no, she was Jada Pinkett. I felt in my heart that she had the same caliber of Drew Barrymore. Sure, Drew Barrymore is famous and she was a child actress and she has this family, whatever, but they chose her for that reason. They could have picked someone else. They picked her. And, that was her resume. And so when she's saying all of that stuff, I mean, it's funny, but it's also true. It's a slap in the face for the audience. It's like, no, they never had black people in this movie. The horror genre is known for its exclusion of the African American element, and it's like it's true. And then they kill her, and it's like it's kind of like it's sort of funny, but also the way they kill her is horrible,
very horrible.
Like getting Drew Barrymore gutted from a tree, that's really graphic. But having someone murdered in front of 300 people, especially when it's a black woman,
and no one notices,
and everyone's just like, yeah, fucking kill her. It's terrible. So for people who are millennials and you're living in this time, actually watching this movie, I think it would have an effect on you. Beyond just being a horror movie, this movie says some real shit about society. So that is why I love Scream 2, because even watching it now, it's like it has changed into something else. It has grown into something else for me. It's still a very entertaining movie, and I love all the actors. And I still care about every single actor that is on screen. Yeah. Because the casting is still well done.
It is.
And by this time, everyone was like, I want to be in this fucking movie. You can kill me in 5 minutes. I don't care. I just want to be in the movie.
Yeah.
So they were just able to put whoever they wanted in this movie.
I remember seeing this. I got a bunch of people from work to go to the midnight showing. I was like, because I worked at a restaurant and then it like closed around 10ish, and I was like, we have enough time to make it. Let's all go and just watch the last showing at midnight, and then let's just do it. And we got like a good 5 or 6 people to go, and we had to sit up front because we were barely getting there before it started, just given how, you know, when we were off work. But we didn't care, and the theater was sold out. It was the best atmosphere that I could have ever asked for. Plus, everyone was still. I mean, what was it? A year later?
It was a year later.
It was a year later. Everybody is still on this movie, and like word of mouth, like you said, and like we were so into it. But I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, we got Jada. She's in there with her boyfriend. And I'm thinking to myself, they're not going to do that again.
No.
Like, we already know. Like they're not going to be predictable. This movie has a gift on not being so predictable. And I'm like, no, they're not going to do the same format they did before. They're going to fool us, maybe think that they're going to do it.
I mean, they still fooled me.
And yeah, you know, I mean, obviously I was still shocked to see that happen, and only because we finally had a black person on there, and then but at the same time, I'm like, they're not going to do the same thing again. And I was just so shocked.
And I think for the audience who came in and it's like, oh, they're going to kill her, just like they killed Drew Barrymore, the way that they did it was shocking.
Yes.
And, you know, just left people with such a surprised feeling. I mean, like when you see the audience members like in the movie, like they realize, oh god, this is real.
Yeah.
She's actually like dying. You know, I think that is probably a good reflection of how people felt. It's like, oh god, they actually did that to her in front of all those people. Wow.
This is something that I also think is hilarious. So you've got that whole entire theater who can't keep still. They're all jumping around like they're at Rocky Horror Picture Shows, throwing food everywhere, wearing costumes, things flying everywhere. But when the movie actually starts and they're watching Stab, she yells out, "Star 69 his ass," and everybody was like, shut the fuck up.
I know.
Like, I was like, oh, this black woman can't say nothing, but all of y'all can yell and do all that stuff when stuff happens. But like she says one little thing, and yeah, what a way to just be acting our colors. See, we're known to be yelling at stuff that can't respond back, and
but it's so sad because she didn't even want to be at the movie.
No,
and then she got into it. She was
know.
like, you know what? I'm enjoying this. I'm gonna like.
But I'm sorry, this is what we do. No, we're like, go, move, get out of the way. No, move this way. We do
the
this.
Movies with my friend Ashley, and she would like get up. She was the one I was telling you about last week, where she climbed on me.
Yeah,
and she was like in another movie, like, girl, get low, get low. Like she was standing in the aisle, like trying to like tell the girl how to like crouch down. Come on. I was like, Ashley, she can't hear you. But that's I mean, it's like it's so.
That's funny.
Man. So that was the beginning.
That was the beginning.
It was just mind blowing, and I mean, and this movie, I think actually made like $1 million more than the first one. But again, it was like, it was good. It was a great movie, and they brought it back. This was probably the first time I had ever encountered that, where they took it out of the theater because it had been in there for however long, but then they brought it back.
Yeah, I do
remember that. A few months later. And like, we're gonna re-release it because it just was so great and everyone loves it. So that's when I got to see it, because I didn't see it the first time around. Okay. I saw it the following like spring in '98, and somehow avoided some major spoilers. And at the time, like one of my friends had gone to see it already, and he told me who the killers were.
What?
But he told, and I don't think he saw it, because he told me that the killer was the boyfriend.
Okay.
And I was like, they did the same shit again? I was like, well, that sounds stupid. I don't want to see that. So I was like, well, I'm not going to go see it then. I'm just going to wait. So then, when I actually see the movie, I was like, oh, it's not the boyfriend. And of course, I'm sitting there like, bitch, don't let him off that cross. He's going to get you. Don't do it. Because I didn't know who the other killer was.
Yeah.
So I was like, don't do it. And then it was so sad when they killed him. It's like, oh, I guess it's not him.
Yeah.
So, and again, I think, we talked about the original script. I read it. That ending was not good. Mm-hmm. I'm so glad whoever leaked it. I know, like, watching the documentary, Wes Craven's like, you little shits, you leaked our ending. And it's like, thank God they did. And y'all, like, wrote some good shit.
Yeah.
Because having the boyfriend and Hallie be the killers, it was just so weird.
I guess, it's just one of those things where it's like, the answer's right in front of you, so it's not it, or it's just too obvious to be true. And so it's like, they have done the boyfriend before, so people won't expect it when it happens again.
Yeah.
It just all depends. I don't know if I wanted to see Jerry O'Connell be the killer versus having the boyfriend do it. Put it that way. So, like, if they did make the killer the boyfriend again, I would rather see somebody else play the boyfriend.
Oh,
I just didn't want to see Jerry O'Connell do it.
I think he's a very sympathetic character, so I wouldn't have seen it coming, but it's boring. Like, it's tired. We've done the boyfriend. Yeah, it's tired. And making her roommate, Hallie, the killer, it just doesn't make any sense.
It would depend on her motive. Unless...
And I can't remember, I don't feel like she had a good motive.
Okay.
I feel like Mickey had a much better motive
for what it was,
because he was just crazy.
Yeah.
And I guess it's like it was the same thing. She was crazy, but it just isn't. I don't know. It's just not that believable.
Yeah.
To see a black woman just be like, I'm crazy and I'm gonna make your life miserable, bitch. It just was like, no, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was weird. So I'm glad they changed that.
So the second one takes place in college, and usually, especially on TV, when you hit college years, it sucks. Nobody wants to see their characters in college, but this one worked. Yeah. And I did like all the characters. I was glad to see that Sydney and Randy went to the same school. And here's the other thing. I actually was given this falsehood of what, like, movie class was like. I was like, I cannot wait to go to college. Because if that's what they do for like 90 minutes in school, God, please sign me up.
Me too.
I don't even know what that class was even called, but I was like, I would love to just talk about
Film
that.
Theory.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Maybe there are classes like that.
And they do have some.
Maybe that was just like an off day where they were like, because obviously people were just murdered, so they were like having a philosophical conversation about horror films. But yes, that was a little misleading for children who were like, I can't wait to get out of school and actually be in college where you can do what the fuck you want. And then it's like, nope, you got to take prerequisites before you can take this. I thought I was done with this phase in my life.
Yeah.
I took calculus in high school. I'm done.
Well, I was really happy. I thought that scene was actually a lot of fun to watch.
And again, like, little cameo, just Joshua Jackson just sitting in class for no reason.
Yeah.
Because he just wanted to be part of the movie.
Yeah. Now, did Urban Legend come out before or after Scream 2?
After.
Okay, because him and Rebecca ended up in Urban Legend after that, so...
Poor things.
But yeah, it was cool to see them, and, Sarah Michelle Gellar, like, Buffy had been out maybe 1 or 2 years.
One. She had just done the first season.
That's
in
right.
The spring, and then...
So, she was already badass for me, and then...
She did 2 movies at hiatus.
Yeah.
She was busy.
I was pissed. I was like, they better have her fighting this one. If she goes out like a punk... That was the only death that I was pissed off about.
I wasn't pissed because she was... I don't want to see her be Buffy in every fucking thing she does.
Well, no, but I also do. I wanted to see her put up a fight because Nev even defends herself in a sloppy way. She could have done the same thing. I was like, she's not even going to get one lick in before. Or like,
that's not how some people react. And,
well, at the time, I was...
I feel like there are a lot of people who it's just when you get scared, you don't have a clear... way of going through something, of thinking things through.
Yeah.
And I think she panicked completely. Fear just took over, and it's like fight or flight. It's like she runs and she just, she made all the bad decisions. And I think that happens to some people. I'm going to defend her character. Poor thing.
I do like the the kill scenes in this one too. I thought they were pretty clever in this one. Oh, and something we didn't talk about before in the first one, but Courtney Cox, Gail Weathers. What do you think of her character in general?
I love Gail in the first two movies.
Okay.
I do. I love her hair in the second one.
I cannot wait to talk about that in the third one.
Streaks. Oh God. Yeah. So I love Gail in the second one. I mean, even though it was like she kind of had this arc where it's like she's not such a bitch in the first one, and she saves the day kind of. In this one, she's like, I'm the shit.
Yeah. Oh my God, her entrance just with her like red streak hair, and she's on the phone, and she's tight.
She's bitch. I have a best-selling book, another best-selling book actually, and a movie. I'm the shit. So I enjoyed her arc throughout this second one as well.
Yes.
So I think this is the one where it's like she sort of hit that peak, and I was like, oh yeah, she's a totally different person now. So I think that's why it kind of didn't work for me after this, because it's like they would always try to like revert her back to square one. It's like, no, didn't you see what happened to her in Scream 2?
Her involvement also made a whole lot of sense. I mean, she wasn't just there for the sake of like, oh, I was in the first one, so that involved me. She had a legitimate reason for being on that campus and helping out. I mean, her figuring out why the two leads in the beginning got killed in general was a great discovery. And so I liked Gail in this one.
And I think, she's integral to that plot because she's so intimately involved with the crimes of the first film when Maureen was murdered. So it's like she knows these people's names. So it just like when she sees it visually, she's like, I've written these names 100 times. I know these people. So she's hungry for that story. Yeah. She has to be there. She has, I mean, especially as an actor, it's so easy to just fall into that character because it's like, I know exactly what she wants. They have given me all the tools I need to interpret this woman. And I mean, at least for the first two films, I just feel like they gave her such an amazing story arc. So I love Gail.
I agree.
She's a mean bitch, but she's funny. She's funny, and she has human moments. I mean, calling her a mean bitch is mean, but she's a mean bitch. She has a good heart. She just doesn't like to show it. Yeah.
Did you have the expectation of two killers?
I think I did. I think I did too. Especially and they kind of set it up even when they said at the beginning when Dewey's like, you should be careful. It could be anyone, him or her or them. Yeah. And it was like, once he said them, I was like, well, we had two last time. There's probably going to be two this time.
You wonder if it was an obligation to have two killers and keep that going. I guess to make certain deaths look more legitimate. Because, back in the 80s, it's like, how did you get there? How did you get there so fast? Exactly. And so it's like, do you think they used this format to continue to do the elaborate deaths, kills that they did?
That format is kind of necessary. It's necessary because it's like, how can you be on this side of campus, but then you're over here chasing them down in a car? Yeah. Like, how did you get there? That doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. So to have two killers, it only made sense. And it's like, it's kind of formulaic. It's like, yeah, we expect it, but it makes sense. And that is what we respect about it, because these are real flesh and blood people. There's no even like a supernatural undertone.
Not
of like,
at all.
Michael Myers is from a cult and blah, blah, blah. And Jason's a ghost. Or is he? I don't know. It's like, no, these are real people. And they can be in two places at once because there's actually two of them. So I think when they dropped that in the third one, it just didn't make sense. Yeah. So I did expect it. They dropped that breadcrumb.
Isn't it great that the writing was that good that you had two people to solve and you couldn't pick one of them? I had no clue this time. No idea this time.
It was such a shock.
The odds that you would at least pick one of them. And this one, they had so many people. I actually almost had those two sorority girls.
That's so funny.
At some point.
Because of the way they walked in together. Yeah. It was like, what are they doing here?
I know.
Another red herring. It's so funny when they do stuff like that. It's like, do I really think that these little skinny girls could do shit?
Never thought it was Randy or Dewey, ever.
No, and okay, so that's where part of the anything is possible kind of slips away. Do we think that Sydney is capable of this? No. Do we think that Dewey or Randy or even Gail? I mean, I just didn't think that any of them could do it. The originals. But when they killed Randy, and a lot of people are like, I'm so mad they killed Randy. But when they killed him, I respected that because I was like, shit, everybody's still fair game. And people are like, no, he's too smart for that. I'm like, yes, he's very smart. But the person talking to him on the phone got under his skin. And, you know, they hit that weakness. Everybody has a weakness, and you chip away at it. And it's, I mean, you know, again, it could be kind of like, well, it's broad daylight. How could that happen? But, man.
So this is something that I've actually wondered between the first and the second one. Did they ever commit any of these murders together? Because it's like, does one need to be away for an alibi point of view? Or, you know, yes, there were two killers, but it's just like, when did they actually take that to their advantage? And I want to say the Drew Barrymore one was the one where they did it together, but I didn't get the sense that they were in the same place any other time, because it's like, oh, I'm on the front porch, or I've witnessed you doing this, and blah blah blah, and it's just like, how do you?
Well, and that one, it's like, we know in retrospect there were two, because that was the question: which door am I at?
Yeah.
And no matter what she said, it was going to be the wrong answer, because they were at both doors. So, and she wouldn't have known that in that state of mind. It's like, you're not going to guess that there's two people outside your motherfucking house.
Yeah. But I mean, the reason why I asked that is because the Randy thing wasn't even planned. I mean, was it? I mean, they called, but it's just like, how did she like really plan on going about this, or was she calling just to fuck with them? Because it was broad daylight, it was in the quad. Like, how do you implement a plan?
But I think it was just opportunity, you know. I think she wanted to just mess with them and like separate them, single him out, but single one of them out. But he was the one who happened to answer Gail's phone, and you know, I think she just took the opportunity, because obviously it cleared out, nobody was there. And, you know, and then I think, like she said, she was just sort of blind with rage. All the shit he was talking about her son. I did not see that coming.
Can I just say how well written and the choreography of that scene when Randy died was amazing.
The camera angle.
Just the use of the space. I mean, they were all over that quad. Everybody was on their phones. You had no idea what they were doing, and the fact that it all happened in broad daylight as well. And there was also a bit of humor along with the suspense. It was just this realization, like, where is he? You know how they're all looking around, like, what's going on? Oh my God, he's here, he's talking to us. And then it's like, keep him busy. And that back and forth with Randy and the killer was just top notch. Like, he laid it into Billy, and all of it was true. And I was just like, tell it. Like, people in the theater were just laughing, but we were like, who's gonna die? Which one of these three? Like, what's happening? And then it happened. My heart sunk. Like, I was devastated when that happened, because again, it was me on the screen dying, and I just didn't think they would do that, because he was such a fan favorite, which is a huge compliment to Jamie Kennedy and his character. A huge compliment, trust me. People were so devastated, they brought it up as a joke in the third. Like, that's the impact you had in your character, is that people were so pissed off that he left. But I just really like that scene. But it's not actually, God, I was gonna say I do have a favorite, but then I thought of another one. That whole chase scene through the maze in the sound studio.
Best one. That was so scary.
What the heck? Like, wow.
Because the way they choreographed that, and I'm like, who scouted that? Good job. You found that location. It was so scary, just trying to be so quiet and moving, and you don't know where they are, and it's like
very clever, very clever, because anything could have happened. You know, they do a lot of scenes where there's actual contact with the killer. Yes, they wrestle him off, and sometimes they get away, but there's that sort of like intense sort of moments where they do make contact. Usually in other horror movies, once he catches you, that's it, you're gonna die. And I like that, because when they were chasing each other, at any point he could have gotten her. Not necessarily a guarantee she would have died, but It was just like, okay, is he gonna grab her from this angle? That was her?
That was her.
Oh, that was her.
And it's funny when you look back, like, you hear her like groan Like
Okay.
when she gets hit by, I was like, oh, that is her.
Oh,
Laurie
okay.
Metcalf.
I didn't really think about which one it was.
But yeah, it's her. I mean, and she has such a deep voice, you know, you
Yeah.
can't tell. But yes, it's but no, man, I mean, the dynamic of, yes, it's like, I'm coming after you, I can see you, but it's like, they can't see each other.
Yeah.
And they can't hear each other. They're both trying to be so quiet.
Mm-hmm.
One is trying to find the other one is trying to avoid the other one. The doors are not locking, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's such an impossible, like, worst case scenario. That was a good one.
And then the
Glad you
Dewey
brought that up.
scene was
so
more
sad.
definite because of the music and the theatrics, and it's like, okay, this is it. This is the time he bites it. And that was kind of devastating too. I just didn't expect it either.
That was, and I mean, no, I don't want Dewey to die.
Yeah.
But when they rolled him out, I was like, he's dead. Are you
How
kidding
did
me?
you do this? Well, I think it was the love story. I mean,
Yeah.
they connected very well,
did.
and so it was just like,
But
you can't.
That was just like, I can't believe.
And it's
he
always at the
survived.
last minute. I think it's just a run-on joke for them to just have him.
I couldn't believe he survived that. But you know,
But how much I really, really love that scene. It was the car for me. That was to me the scariest,
Yes.
most intense shit that I've
yes,
well throughout that movie in general. Like
Mm-hmm.
that, I had no idea what was gonna happen, and I was trying to like, did I like how it ended up? Like they didn't do anything, and it was just intense for the sake of being intense. Did you want him to wake up just for?
No, I didn't want him to
I
wake
mean,
up.
like for entertainment value. Like, would it have been better if he had woken up, or was it cool to just?
no, I think that was perfect.
Okay.
No, him waking up, I wouldn't have been as good.
Okay.
But I mean, the fear of him waking up and grabbing one of them as they try to climb out
Yeah.
was scary. I mean, even it's like, you know, she gets out and she pulls on the door and it won't open. It's like Hallie has to do it again. It's like, well, she's not going to climb out.
I know.
There's no way she's going to make it out of the car. No way. Absolutely no way.
Intense.
So
intense.
No,
Yeah.
him not waking up was just superb.
Yeah.
I mean, and then they fucking kill Hallie. I was like, Jesus, Hallie. And it's, you know, it's like, damn. Yeah, okay, we don't want her to go back to the car, but it's like, she's going back to the car. I guess we all going back to the car, bitch.
Let me tell you. Okay, so again, sold out theater. This moment, they get out of the car, everything is fine, and we're like, we can breathe.
Yeah.
And then they stop, and she's like, I want to see who it is. I didn't hear dialogue for the next minute and a half. Like,
Oh my God.
everyone was yelling. They were like, no, run, just go, just go. Everybody was so pissed. But it was just how, it just goes to show how into it
Yeah.
everybody was
Yeah.
at that moment in time. And then let me just say the reaction, the gasp, when, you know, Mickey reveals himself and then he says, you know, I couldn't have done without a partner. And then Gail walks in. That theater was
Oh
like,
yeah, we were all like,
I was like, no,
this
I know.
doesn't make any sense.
And I honestly thought it was Gail too. I was
a
just
brain
like,
meltdown.
what was going on? And then, yeah, I wish, never thought.
Never
Such
a
And
good-
here's the thing. I don't think that you could pull that off now. If I were to watch this for the first time right now after the many horror movies that I've seen, I would have picked her right off the bat.
Really?
Because of the fact that she was always there, but we never knew who she was. It's like, why have this character there? I always look for a significant reason for any person to be in a movie, let alone be in a scene. And there needs to be a significant reason why she is always attached to Gail the way she is. And I just would, she would not have just been, she wasn't funny. She didn't provide any kind of like story development whatsoever. It's like, why are you here? But back then, never thought once. Never thought at all. And you know, my theory would have been far-fetched. I don't have actual proof it would have been her, but I would have suspected her. I completely erased her from my mind when it came down to the killers because it's usually somebody close to her.
Yeah.
And her and Nev never had one scene together, which was vital
Yeah.
to it
She
being
would have
pulled off.
recognized her. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I guess it's a lot of people probably just chalked it up to another cameo because we all know she's from Roseanne. We know
Exactly.
her, but we also probably had in our minds that the killer is going to be someone who is Sydney's age. In the first movie, it was 2 teenagers. In this next movie, it's going to be like a college student. It's going to be someone who is one of her friends, someone that is closer to her versus an adult woman.
Exactly. I was going to
is
say,
not involved in the story. It's like, yeah, we know that she's stalking Gale, but we're not invested in this woman, and we just don't think she's a killer. She just looks like this random white woman.
yeah, I was going to say, you know, most of the expectation probably assumed that they were both males, just like before. Nobody expected there to be a woman killer this time, and it's just like, you know, why would a woman want to kill Sydney and all that stuff? You know, all the people in her life from the first one, we got a reason. What's going on now, you know? And so that was a shocker. And even though the previous script did leak, I'm glad that Wes still wanted a woman.
Well, and I think she was always part of the original, though. She was in the original script. She was the one orchestrating and pulling the strings. It just was that she was pulling Derek and Hallie's strings.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then that whole convoluted thing of what's his name?
Mickey?
No. Cotton.
Oh, Cotton.
Cotton does come in and kind of saves the day, but then he kills Gale, and he wants to kill Sydney because he wants to be the lone survivor, so they fight to the death. And that's how they ended the movie originally. I was like, who thought this was good? Who thought? So thank God they got rid of all that
Cotton's red
nonsense.
herring was hilarious. I never once thought it was him either. Yeah.
Yeah, he was good. I mean, he was scary.
Yeah.
Poor Cotton.
Poor Cotton.
Yeah. Love Scream 2.
Yes, Scream 2 was very good. So this is your favorite. So you said you like the second one, and then put them in order.
2, 1, 4, 3.
2, 1, 4, 3. Okay. I'm 1, 2, 4, 3, actually. So, okay. Go ahead and read our next trivia question. This has something to do with Scream 2.
Okay, and actually, I love this scene as well.
Yeah, it's a great scene.
But it's so beautiful. So the specific play that Sydney is cast to play at her college, what is the name of the play? You know, when she's up there in her red costume being all like mysterious and shit.
Yeah.
What's the name of the play? I think that's good enough. We don't need anything
that she's
more than that.
Yeah, but we want the specific name of the play that she stars in.
Yeah. So give it to us and we'll give you a treat. A small one. Moving on to the garbage truck of the trilogy. I'm sorry, that's mean. But I'm not actually being mean. So this movie didn't even, we all had an expectation by this time. Scream 3 was supposed to come out in 1998. It did not. But that was our expectation because we were ready for another one. We were hungry for it. And then everybody involved wanted to bitch out and be like, oh, I don't want to be in horror movies, or I want to direct, and oh, I don't want to direct another horror movie. So I'm mad at all of you, Wes included, for doing this because I felt like it would have been a much better film if they had kept the momentum. But waiting just 2 years, it was just too much. It was too much for audiences, and it was too much for the momentum of the story. Yeah. So, yeah, Wes wanted to do Music of the Heart. Neve Campbell didn't want to do another horror movie because she didn't want to be typecast. I don't remember what she did.
Do you think Wes Craven? Do you think Wes Craven had a plan for a trilogy the whole time?
No. Well, that was Kevin Williamson, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I should say Kevin Williamson. Yeah.
I think he had something in mind. I think he definitely had the sequel in mind. Okay. I don't remember if he had a trilogy in mind. I can't remember that off the top of my head. But so this is where everything gets fucked up. And then Kevin, he's probably the biggest one of all that I can blame. I'm so mad because he wanted to work on other things. The Faculty came out in '98, which I love. And he wrote that, but I needed him to write Scream 3. But instead, and then the next year, I think he directed Teaching Mrs. Tingle.
Yeah, Teaching Mrs. Tingle.
Which was, it was okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, I wanted Scream 3. So everybody who needed to be involved was not involved. And even when they brought Neve Campbell back, she just kind of didn't really want to be there. So they made sense for it in the story. Neve Campbell still does an amazing job. I'm not saying that she doesn't like the series or anything. I know she loves the series and she has a lot of respect for it. But I think she didn't want to get pigeonholed as an actress. I can understand. Especially still in that time period, people would typecast you like that. Now you get typecast and it's like, I don't give a fuck, I'm working. So when this came out, it just was not good. I don't think it was received well. It had like mixed reviews. It didn't make as much money.
Yeah.
And the casting was not good.
Not good at all.
So I'm going to tell you my dream cast.
Okay.
Because there were other people who were considered for roles, but then they didn't cast them. So in the beginning, we have Cotton and his girlfriend. I'm not really familiar with Kelly Rutherford. I've seen her in some random ass TV movies.
I've seen her in stuff after the fact, but
yeah, I think she was on Melrose Place at the time. But I wasn't watching fucking Melrose Place, okay? I was a kid. So I don't know who that was for. I don't know who that casting choice was for. Drew Barrymore, Jada Pinkett, brilliant. Kelly Rutherford, no shade, but you shouldn't have been in this movie. Kate Winslet would have been a much better choice because she was just off of Titanic and she was working on a lot of different things. She was huge. So if you want to like try and top Drew Barrymore and Jada Pinkett, yeah, kill Kate Winslet.
In your honest opinion, do you think Kate would have actually agreed to do this?
She
after
auditioned.
Titanic?
Yes,
but for this role though.
Yes,
she auditioned
for this role.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I did not know that.
Trust me, Rob. Trust me. I dream about this movie at night and how I wake up in the middle of the night screaming, "It was terrible!" No. Yeah, so she was one of the actresses who was considered for Cotton's girlfriend. Also, Charisma Carpenter.
Oh, I would have loved that.
I love her, but I don't know if I would have loved her in this role.
Okay.
But I think I still would have preferred her over Kelly Rutherford.
Yeah.
And Shannon Doherty, I think, also was considered. But I would have liked Shannon Doherty instead of Jenny McCarthy. And I love Jenny McCarthy. And I enjoy her in this movie, but I just don't really... I didn't feel like she was a bitch. And, you know, like when she comes and she has these little lines and she's like, she's got so much attitude. I think it would have made much more sense for Shannon Doherty to play that character and be like this actress who's just annoyed that she's 35 playing this young kid, you know. I think I would have enjoyed that. And I think that would have been a good casting choice, but...
Well, not to you know, shit all over McCarthy's career or anything, but I just wonder for the literal role that she was given, even the movie within the movie, it did kind of fit. I mean, because if Shannon had gotten that, I would have just been like, why are they casting you? First of all, you don't look like Tatum.
But it wasn't supposed to be Tatum.
I thought she played the Tatum character.
No, she played Cotton's girlfriend. Like, Cotton had a cameo in the movie as himself, and she was playing his girlfriend who died second.
Okay, gotcha.
No, she wasn't
I thought
Tatum.
she was the Tatum character.
No. She was just random girl who gets killed second, basically. So I did enjoy her, but I felt like Shannon Doherty would have been much better in that role. But I don't know if she can scream as well. And again, like, and Kate Winslet, I know she's got some lungs. She can scream. Another actress who I really enjoy in other movies, Emily Mortimer. I love her. In this movie, I hated her. She was not good.
Cannot stand Emily Mortimer's character in this movie. She was just... Like, I understand that people come to Hollywood and they have this dream. There's some small town girl from who knows where. But I'm just like, she was just way too naive, way out of her element. And it was just weird to give her this...
Yeah.
First of all, she shouldn't have been a red herring because... It just did not. She didn't pull it off well at all, and they gave her so many opportunities to be the killer.
Yeah, and she should have been the other killer. Hold on. So I'll get to that in 1 second.
Yeah.
So my last choice, because I don't have any really thoughts about the other men because they were all garbage, but Emily Mortimer's character should have been played by Eliza Dushku. She was also someone who was considered, and I just feel like she would have been better because I mean. No offense to Emily Mortimer, this is the first time I saw her, so it wasn't like she was one of those actors that they brought in because it was like, oh, they're recognizable and it's like anything could happen. But when you brought in all of these actors that I'm just not really familiar with, and I feel like most people weren't familiar with these actors, you don't feel an investment in them. Yeah. And I didn't feel an investment in them. And also the way the characters were written, I didn't care about them. I didn't care about Matt Keeslar when he blew up in the house because he's stupid and he ran back inside. I knew he was going to blow up. Everything was so predictable. And the element of having two killers, they needed to stick to that because in this movie it was just way too far out. Like, really? How'd you get there by yourself?
I will say at the end of the day, it didn't make sense to have one killer, but at the same time, I don't see a reason for the killer to have another person, because it wasn't really about somebody else. This was literally to close the story,
Well,
as they did. So being that when they tied him up to the rest of the movies,
Yeah.
it's like you were the last standing. You are the top of the pyramid.
but it's like you still need a scapegoat, and that's what the other ones were. Stu was a scapegoat. Billy was going to kill him and let him take the rap for everything. We know he was going to do that. Just like his mother was going to do the same for Mickey.
Yeah.
So he needed a scapegoat, and he needed someone to help him move around. When you're like trying to be someone who's everywhere, it just didn't make sense.
I hear that.
So I mean, it was still fine that he was responsible for everything. I mean, they tied everything up together with a bow, brought it full circle. But she was in another version of the script, she was the other killer.
Yeah.
Who was working with him because she was such a big fan of Sydney and she was crazy. So that would have been like her saving grace as a character, because then it's like, oh, these red herrings did make sense for this silly little girl, but not good casting.
So, funny thing about the beginning scene. So, first of all, when I saw this movie, I think the internet played a sort of at least with me, it played a little bit of a role as to going to see this movie, because it was hinted that Nev was just kind of over it. So it was big rumor that she was going to bite it. Everybody kind of went to see if they were actually going to go through with it and kill her off. And that was on my mind the whole time. And they obviously staged it to look like that, because everybody knew on the internet it's gonna happen. So I remember most of my friends were just like, okay, is this the time they're gonna do it? But obviously I was already used to the first person that we see on screen dying, so I was so anticipated, like, who are we gonna see? And I expected to see somebody new, but then they popped Cotton in there. I was like, not Cotton. And the whole time the theater's like looking at me, and I'm just like, this bitch is about to die, like, this is happening. I was like, Cotton. No, I did not want that to happen. But a little trivia for you. So do you remember that before his voice is revealed, the killer's voice, and we see that he obviously has this instrument that can disguise his voice or whatever, it's a female voice,
right?
That female voice is an actress named Beth Toussaint, who was in Red Eye. She had a small part in Red Eye. She played the guy who was going to get assassinated, his wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was the female voice in Scream 3. So I'm just like, yeah, again, just another sort of tie-in from one movie to another. But I did like that scene. I was a little confused over the voice box. I don't know how he got those voices.
That's
a futuristic like instrument anyway. I'm like, you had that? Sense. Like it was just a little too easy to get everybody kind of doing everything that you wanted them to do.
This movie was just way too far-fetched in pretty much every single way. Recreating certain things. I mean, they had nice touches when she's wearing his Greek letters from the second movie. She's wearing Derek's letters. That was nice.
I thought that was kind of funny. I mean, at the end of the day, it is nice, but I was like, woman, he did die because you didn't trust him. I mean, so
and she feels guilty about it.
So it's just like, she's just wearing a. I was like,
so I appreciated that carryover. And then building the houses again when she walks onto the soundstage.
Oh, that was so eerie.
That was a good moment. That was a good moment. But
and then the little voiceovers, close call, and just a remembrance of the first one. I thought that was really nice.
It was really good, but overall, this movie was not good. I didn't care about anybody who died.
There's a lot of overacting, a lot of silliness, and
like Parker Posey was kind of funny, but it was just way too much. And oh yeah, and before we forget, Gail's hair was not good.
Oh, can we talk about Gail? Was that her real hair?
Yeah, I think it was real hair.
Do you remember? Okay, so again, fierce entrance in part 2. Part 3, she walks on set in this long hair and that yellow pantsuit. Like I was like, Gail, really? What is going on?
And I mean, they always joked about, it's like, oh, she doesn't know how to dress. She's not really
never knows how to dress.
But I felt like in the second one, she was good. The second one,
her clothes
were good, and her hair was great. She was on point. And then
but between the neon green and the first, I was just like, what is going on?
I don't know why they did her like that. But yeah, and this one, I mean, of course, it was more of like a Gail Dewey movie. Since
it did Sydney feature a lot of them. Yeah, Sydney kind of played backseat a little bit.
And like the psychological element and the trying to be like this supernatural, like, Sydney, mother needs to talk. It's like, no, bitch. I know this is a dream sequence because we don't do this in these movies. So when he pops through the window, it's like, wake up. I don't like dream sequences, okay?
Yeah.
Especially when if it's not Nightmare on Elm Street or it's not a supernatural movie, I don't like it because I know that it's not real. You're having a mental breakdown, and that's unfortunate, but it's not interesting to me. So, yeah.
It does call for a scary moment, though. I did like it. Just at the house, for one, it was, they're in the room, and she still uses the door. She's got everything down to her, defense mechanisms.
No, that was good. But I'm talking about when she's having the nightmare at home.
Yeah, no, I know what you meant. I just thought that second, appearance was actually pretty good.
That second appearance was good. But that one, it's like, it was almost playing with us, like, is she having a mental breakdown, or is someone actually chasing her?
Yeah.
And that one, I don't know. I'm wondering, what do you think? Do you think that she was like? The
killer comes in with the blanket over his head, the coroner bag. So I don't know if that was him, but again, it's all that far-fetched assumption. Like,
and with the voice changer,
he's able to do that. I think that was him at the set.
I would imagine it was him.
I don't think that was in her head. At home it was, but I don't think that was. I think at the set
because
it was.
It's like they were trying to set this idea, this tone that it's like she's losing her mind. So it's like, oh, maybe she is the killer.
Yeah,
that's like such a left field thought. Like, no, Sydney. And this was So this movie, it's like, I don't really think anything can happen. I do think that you're going to kill off all of these new characters because we don't care about them and they're new. But I'm not worried about Gail or Dewey or Sydney until the end when they shot her and it's like, oh God, they actually are going to kill her. All right. But I just wasn't worried about them. So not anything can happen.
Yeah.
Everybody is kind of a suspect because these are all new random people that I don't care about. But it lost its flavor.
So the characters in the dialogue weren't that great. It's funny. So like Jenny McCarthy's character, her character in the movie dies in the she goes, oh, I only have 2 scenes and then I die. Technically she only had 2 scenes and then she died. And I was just like, I know that he was trying to, make his own movie or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, I thought that was really funny. But like
funny.
Tyson, there was absolutely no reason for him to be in this movie. At all.
And I don't know who else they would have cast, but
they didn't even need one. Like, there was never any kind of play for the Randy character either. He literally went on there just like Not Another Teen Movie, where he played the same character as the token black guy who comes in every now and then, says something black, and then leaves.
Yeah, and it's like this movie regressed completely because it was everything that the first 2 films were not.
Yeah.
It had no kind of commentary on people or even like racial constructs. It had no commentary. It was just, he was literally just there, like you said. He was just the token, and I'm gone.
You remember Emily Mortimer, like her character. So she steals the stuff from the set, and they're questioning her. And what is his only line? Don't look at me. I didn't do it. Now I'm just like, oh my God, really?
That was all. He only had like 3 scenes throughout the movie.
Exactly.
And he just had nothing.
But so this goes to one of the rules that I brought up in our video that we filmed. How don't be the hero, because what'll happen, you will die. He tried to jump in and like save the day, and then he got stabbed and shit. I was just like, see, that's what happens with black. Like, if you try and be the hero, Dewey can get like he said, he's a shish kebab every time you're around him. So we're not gonna be around him. He attempts to be the hero one time, bam, done. Yeah. That's it. And it was just such a disrespect to him, the character he tried to play. And yeah, I just didn't like it at all. It was just a waste.
Yeah.
So, the freaking bodyguard got more respect in his death scene than Tyson did, in my opinion.
You could see that coming from a mile away. It was so lame.
But, so what did you... Oh, I did want to bring up, so do you have like a scare at all? Was there like a point where it kind of got you, a jump scare or anything?
No.
There wasn't anything that kind of surprised you, huh?
No, there was absolutely nothing that surprised me in this movie. Let me I'm trying to like go quickly through the movie in my head.
There were 2 moments for me that kind of got me. One of them didn't really scare me, but it was just like, what's gonna happen? So in the trailer, you actually saw a knife literally be thrown at Dewey's head, and they didn't even cut the camera off until it literally reached his head. So it was the assumption that he was gonna die.
Yeah.
And then when they threw it, the wrong end hit him, and I just thought that was super clever. But I was terrified at the moment. But it's such a small, significant part. It's at the end, and Dewey and Gail are looking for the rest of the group, and they split up, and he's like, I'm gonna go this way, find Tyson, you find the girls.
And
she gets grabbed. Like, that got, like, I jumped so high because I didn't want Gail to die. But it was just like, that was because I just didn't think it was gonna happen that way. And they end up in the basement, but I just thought that was a very jump scare move for them. I like that.
No, I thought, I don't know if that surprised me. I think it just confused me because she had already just looked that way. So I was like, where did he come from? Suddenly. Like, she didn't see him.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you watch, like, the gag reel, you see, like, she looks and it's like he's already running towards her just to time it out. So he grabs her just in time. No, I didn't want her to die. I did think, like, in that moment, I was like, oh shit, he's going to stab her. But, no, this movie did not scare me.
Yeah.
And it might have even been, there was a lot of things. So this is the first one I saw opening night. Went with my parents again. I couldn't afford no tickets to the movies. And we went to this new theater that had just opened on our side of town. Everybody in that fucking theater was talking the whole time.
And that can just ruin it. No matter how good a movie is, I get that.
That was one thing. But so it's like, I think my brain went somewhere else where I was being I was more analytical than with the other two. The other two, I was just in the experience writing. This one, I was like, everybody's talking. Everybody's screaming at shit that is not scary. Y'all need to calm down. So, yeah, I just could not enjoy it. But even so, with that being said, it was an inferior movie.
Yeah.
The story, I mean, and this is the one where Kevin Williamson stepped away. He gave them a treatment, but he didn't write the script, and you can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell that this is just some basic ass shit. It's a dumbass white movie about some dumbass white girls getting their white asses cut the fuck up. That's exactly what happens. And everybody's so delicate in this movie.
Yeah.
Like one stab and they're done.
What did you think of the entire revelation? Just, having it all tie together, just the idea of, the whole sibling thing and the whole, I never got a mom aspect, or, just that they found a way to connect and go back to the first, just like Randy's rules in the video, which I thought was a really cool cameo. I was so happy to see him one last time. But, he did, state the fact that, when you do a trilogy, it's always about the past, something you missed and everything. And
yeah, I don't know. It was my least favorite of all of them because I think I enjoy the fact that in this series, it's like they've always kind of, quote, kept it in the family. It's always been related to that. But I don't know, it was kind of weird. And I mean, it felt kind of forced because it was like they needed something. They needed something to connect it back to the beginning and make it a trilogy, which is great. I didn't mind him being the killer. I minded that they tried to make me think he was dead in that coffin. Stop. But, it was a strange moment at the end when she stabs him through the heart, I'm pretty sure.
And he's still alive.
And he's like, they're holding hands, and that was kind of sad.
I do like that. They did this. They did sort of the same thing in H2O. There was just this underlining understanding of just like, I get it. I get it.
Like
we are family. I get it. You've been through some shit. I hate that you tried to kill me, but I mean,
and you ruined my fucking life.
Yeah, but
it was like
there was still
this
that
moment where they were like,
there was still that understanding. Like, I'm not gonna let you die alone. Something. There
was a lot of things that passed between them without saying anything, and that was a good moment. Probably like the best moment in the movie.
But see, here's the thing. I wish they had left that moment alone, but they still had him get up and like ruin it.
Heart.
And then she's like, shoot him in the head, and I'm just like, you just totally took that moment away from.
So. This movie was just stupid. And I mean, with Randy, I know everybody wanted that and a lot of people wanted him to not be dead. But I was like, nope, he needs to be dead because it's not that kind of movie. We're not gonna like be a soap opera and it's like he's in a coma. Don't do that. They wanted to bring Matthew Lillard back at one point and have him be. It's like, no, Matthew Lillard's dead. Stop. Let's do something that is realistic. So having him get up and Randy be like, it's like you need to like cut his head off, blow him up, and it's like it's not superhuman. No.
Yeah.
They're real people. Let's just keep this rooted in reality.
Not to backtrack, but did you remember hearing a rumor that Matthew Lillard was at the sorority party in
Yeah,
part
you
two?
can see him.
I still
like,
can't find him.
bleach blonde
I
hair.
still can't find him. I want to see him, but
I don't think he's
I'll
really
try,
in focus. But
I'll try and look again. Okay, so
One more thing.
Okay,
The Jay and Silent Bob cameo was the worst thing, and it was so unnecessary. And
You
I
didn't
wish they
like
had done
it?
No, I did not like that.
I think it was a trade-off with I'm
Probably.
in your movie, so you be in mine.
Probably, but I mean that was just not.
Well, yeah, they're all in the same company, so it's just like sport.
It took me out. It took me completely all the way out.
Well, now that you had mentioned that, the trivia question for Scream 3 does bring up another cameo that I actually did love, and it was Carrie Fisher. She popped in the movie and worked in the archives. And the trivia question I want to ask is, can you give me her character's name in the movie? Of course, in the movie, Gail and, what's her face? Parker Posey. Jennifer believes that she looks exactly like Carrie Fisher, but she is not playing herself. I would like her character's name. Alrighty.
Now we've come to the end, man.
So then, how many years? What, 5? It was from
No.
Scream 3 to 4. How many years was it? 4?
No, it was 11.
Why am I thinking 5, 4?
Let me
Really?
think.
It was
Let me
that
think.
long?
Wait, yeah, it was 11 years. So this one was supposed to come out in 99, but they pushed it back to January of 2000, so they pushed it back a month. And then Scream 4 came out in April of 2011, and that was supposed to come out in 2010, but they pushed it back.
Jesus. I will always claim that I am a movie geek and know my shit, but dates
Well,
I am not good at.
And
I
the reason
don't
they
remember
did this,
that big
they wanted to
break.
be clever. So it's supposed to come out in like October 2010, but then they pushed it back to April 15th, 2011. So it was the 4th movie. 15 years after the original, 11 years since the 3rd one, since the last installment. So I think that's why they did that. They were like, "Oh, look, we have an opportunity here. Let's try to be clever." I feel like I just like worked all my energy out on the 3rd movie. The 4th one I didn't take seriously at all because I didn't expect it to be good. So I just went in and I just had fun. I saw it opening night, and yeah, it was just fun.
I was really happy to hear that everyone agreed to come back. Nev was like, if Wes doesn't do it, I'm not doing it. And they talked Wes into it. And that screenplay must have done something to bring him back, because that is a huge break. It is such a huge risk for the audience that is going to be viewing this. And you can't guarantee that nostalgia is just going to bring everybody back. So I did actually have high expectations for this. I thought that with modern horror as it was, that it was going to be everything that we loved about the first one and just updated and just cater to the audience that they're doing, to start something else, because the idea of another trilogy actually did intrigue me, and I would have been totally down for that, even if they passed the torch. But I didn't mind part 4. It was a little bit silly with the new class that they brought in. Some of them just weren't really.
Yeah, I didn't care about most.
They weren't
of them.
developed very well. I will say, though, that again, with the new rules and the way horror has been changed since Scream trilogy, I love that the expectation of the first kill was still fresh and new. I mean, I got a real big kick out of how they arranged that. I thought that was amazing.
Clever.
I thought that was really good.
Because I think we all had, we definitely had that expectation. Well, whoever we see first is going to die.
And again, the players that they got was just top notch. I was just so proud of the fact that they were able to pull that off very well.
They did a good job of finding the stars of the moment, of the times, to portray all these characters. And it's good because all of these actors and actresses, they were probably really young They were probably younger than me when the original movies came out. So for them to be excited and interested in actually participating in any aspect, in any length of a character, I think that complements the original series. So they did a good job casting for the most part. Writing is where it falls apart.
Yes.
Because again, I mean, Kevin wrote this, and he wrote it with a new trilogy in mind. So when they brought other people in, they brought 2 people in, I believe, to rewrite some things. They brought in Aaron Kruger, who was responsible for 3. You can see the spots. Or at least I think I can.
Yeah.
You can see the places where things were tweaked by other writers. It's like it's not as suspenseful. It's more of like paint by numbers. I mean, I'm being harsh. It's like I haven't sold a fucking screenplay, but it's not as good.
Well, some of those, like the body count obviously was a little bit higher, but it was just the significance of the people who were dying. There was just no reason for it.
Yeah.
The 2 cops especially, no point whatsoever to have that in there. I will say that the lengthy scene of the killer being across the street the whole time in her closet versus
well, and because of the trailer, I knew he was in there.
Oh, I wouldn't. I didn't know that.
We've gotten into the times where people don't know how to edit a trailer, so you see everything right away.
But there's definitely some things that I really did like about it. If I were to be a person who had never seen the first trilogy, I think watching a Scream movie for the first time, their movie references were up to date. I think they did a really good job at, catering to the audience that will be watching this movie. I mean, just bringing up Saw, it, like, for one, was just like, wow. Like, I watched the first Scream, they're talking about Halloween prom night, and in this one it's Saw, and that's true. They came out every year.
It's a different generation.
And I just like that they updated everything. Especially what's Hayden's character? Remind me of her name if you remember. Do you remember? I forget her name.
Oh, Kirby.
Why
did they name her Kirby?
Kirby was, I mean, she technically wasn't the Randy of the movie, but the woman knew her horror, and like,
yeah, she was like the Tatum. She was supposed to be the Tatum, but she was a updated Tatum and also I think this is a nod to women who are fans of comics and horror, because before this, people acted like women didn't like these things. So, giving her that element was letting women know it's like, we see you. Women like scary movies.
Exactly.
Women like Marvel, Women like all of these things. It's just they're left out, and it's like they're clueless and they don't know what's going on, because for so long, you got these movies where women are like flashing their tits all over, and it's like, well, I'm not interested in that. Yeah, I like a scary movie, but I don't care about all these naked broads. I don't care about these superheroes in these tight costumes where their breasts are all out. It's like, come on. But there's still a significance of them. I know my shit. I know about this genre just as much as you, probably more. So that was a really good scene when they're going back and forth, and she's naming all of the remakes.
I was gonna bring that scene up. Like, what a boss! She nailed it, and I think she listed them in order.
Oh, really?
She was. I'll have to verify, but it just the way that she listed them, I was like, I think she could be listing them in order. I couldn't. She didn't even let him finish the question. I don't care what your question was. All I heard was remake. I will name them all. I thought that was so badass. So badass. I love that scene. Again. I love that scene. But the whole, like, they really didn't wanted to make sure that it was not the boyfriend in this one, because he was a waste of a character. Like,
I mean, most of them were, to be fair, but
he was horrible. Like, he barely had any scenes. And the only thing that he was meant to be is this possibility, like, oh, you broke up with me, so I'm going to kill you. But it was just like no character development whatsoever. He just was gone the whole time. And like I said, if you're just going to disappear the whole time, like, you might as well be the killer. But it's just like, I don't believe it. He was just a waste.
So I have a fun little tidbit. My friend Nick, who listens pretty regularly, his friend Mariel, Jaffe, I think that's how you say her name. She was Olivia. So that's his friend. He said she's not an actress. He said she's a model, and she's a very pretty girl.
Yes,
but he said, yeah, she's not an actress. I was like, oh geez. I think she did a decent job. I mean, she doesn't really have like, you know, a lot of emotion, but you know, that death sequence was terrible. Poor thing. And that was the first instance where I was like, this movie is brutal.
Yeah.
Because even the first two kills, the first legitimate kills, weren't that brutal. I mean, they were pretty, I mean, they're of course violent, but this one, it was like, he fucked her up.
Yeah, he did.
I was like, Jesus. So after that, I was like, oh, this is kind of the generation that we live in, where there's sort of, kids watch these movies and they're desensitized. And they watch Saw, and it's like, people are getting mutilated, and it's like, oh, I can't wait for the next one to come out, because I like seeing this stuff. And it's like, ugh. So that is what it made me think of. As far as social commentary, it was a lot more gruesome, the way that they killed some people, at least her. They did a number on her. With other people, it was kind of like one stab and we're done.
I will say that I like the updated rules on just kind of going back to the original, or trying to surpass the original by still using the same rules in a way. I do like the fact that they implemented the whole YouTube thing, just that, you know, everything has to be recorded now. It's not about just believing or hearing things. You have to see it. And even you know, her motive, Robert's motive, I forget her name. I just watched this, Jill. Her motive, to me, I thought was perfect.
So it kind of like, it gave me chills.
It literally spoke to what was going on at the time. I mean, it's just like Diary of the Dead. It's the same thing. Like, it's all about the video. It's all about the fame. It's all about just cutting the line and going right up to the front by doing as little as possible. But also, it speaks on just being under someone's shadow. I mean, I would hate to grow up in a town where everybody just talks about somebody else and not me. And, you know, thank God they weren't sisters. I mean, that would have been even worse. But, you know, just a cousin has to deal with your shit.
Yeah.
And the mom also kind of got a backlash from all this drama with her sister. And, you know, it's surprising that they didn't move if it was that bad. But I do enjoy the motive and everything about it. And I think that with how it ended and the red herring with, you know, Culkin's character, just him like, oh, I finally got the girl. I'm like, oh no, you're dead. Like, the minute they like made out, I was like, that kiss was like, yeah, like, no, this is not happening.
He's like, I mean, you can kill him. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I need to get out of this. Well, yeah, it was more entertaining, but. And again, it was like, oh shit, we really think Sydney's dead this time. I mean, it's like, she cut her deep. That wasn't like a little like
twice.
Like, yeah, oh yeah, she hit her
was
twice.
Like, damn.
But that second one, I was like, I swear she got her right here.
Yeah,
I swear. So
she is a trooper. Just fine. I mean, and then with Gail getting shot too. I mean, I was like,
oh, she got.
Oh, was it? Oh, I thought she got shot.
Stabbed.
Okay, she got stabbed in the shoulder. That's right.
But she got shot in the second one.
Yeah, yeah. And
like, how many? Geez.
I was really surprised. So yeah, I did think that they were going to officially like take her out in this one. I was a little annoyed this time that one of the original three didn't go.
So was I.
I was kind of annoyed.
I want them to, but yeah, but
it's
just we got away. It's like, so nothing can really happen. It's like, you guys are just golden, and we don't have to worry about you, so that takes away from the suspense. I think, yeah, just wasn't I don't want them to die, but it's like, come on, Gail. she probably should have died.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it was very relevant. I think the rules were updated, like I said, and I would have been okay with another trilogy. It sucks it didn't reach audiences the way that it did.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, I think again it has a lot to do with the writing and the way that they switch things up at the last minute. And I mean, I think maybe you heard about Kevin Williamson having this big blow up on set with the producers.
No.
And he like walked off because they kept coming in and wanting to like fuck with shit. And this was already after, you know, the whole Cursed debacle, where they came in and were like, we don't like this, rewrite it. And it's like, God, you're lucky that I came back for this. So when they wanted to change shit, he was like, bye. And I mean, he's responsible for the majority of the screenplay, but they changed certain things, and it's just not. You can see it's not suspenseful, it's not scary. They changed the ending because it was supposed to end at the house.
Okay.
Where Sydney's dead, everyone's dead, and then Jill's being rolled out, and she's like, so happy people are paying attention to me, and then they're like, wait, we got another one. It's like, oh, and that's the end of the movie. It's like, who survived? So maybe if they had left it on a cliffhanger, people might have been curious to have another. There might have been more uproar from audiences. So I think that would have probably been an interesting way to go, instead of making it a finite ending. Like the other three can stand alone because they have their own ending.
Yeah.
This one, I think it needed to, like, especially with the way that movies are now, when they shoot 2 sequels back to back, and it's like that one in the middle, it doesn't have an ending. There's more. They're leading into more. This one, it wasn't leading into anything else.
Yeah.
So they probably should have just let Jill live and then be in prison in the next movie, and then they reveal who survived, whether it was Kirby or Sydney or, I don't know, whoever else was in the house.
So one last thing. You saw this in the theater, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was everyone's reaction, if you can remember, or your reaction when Jill was just throwing herself across the whole house?
Oh my God. So the audience overall was good energy, and we had a lot of fun. We enjoyed it. I remember at the end when she said, "Don't fuck with the original," I was like, yes, bitch. So loud. But yeah, everyone was like, oh my God. Like, she's just throwing her ass into the wall, and we were like watching her, like, she gets up, and then we see her like, we're like, oh no, don't do it. And she drops herself on the table.
No, the camera angle was perfect. We knew what she was going to do. Because here's the thing, like, she had done enough, in my opinion. I was like, I think that you've been roughed enough.
She fucked herself up.
And then I was like, are you really about to just do it? And I think she looked at it and was like, fuck it. But I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to do it. And she did it. And I was just crazy. Like, wow.
She was crazy.
We were dying. There was a lot of laughter. We didn't think it was like pathetic or anything like that. We actually thought it was a very intense scene.
It was
effective, but it was still laughable.
It was because it was just like, oh my God.
But I love the fact how, yes, being stabbed does hurt. I'm not going to wish that on anybody, but when
she had to do it herself.
Well, Stu and Billy, they, got a few and they just couldn't
Yeah.
But this woman, she's like, when she ran into that wall, I had to rewatch it. Like, that was the funniest fucking thing.
She's doing it in some high heels.
It was just the way that she ran into that wall. The painting falls off, and she gets up in those heels.
Well,
and
they weren't
I
heels,
was
they were
just
boots, but still,
she was.
She fucked herself
And then
up.
to do all that and find out this heifer's still alive in the other room, I'd have been pissed. I'd have been pissed. But her matching the pose of her dying the same way. I mean,
yeah. It was a clever movie, especially in comparison to the third one. I felt like this one was much better, and
definite improvement.
Definite improvement. So just talking about the generation that is coming to see the movies and getting on social media, and it's like, we need those likes, we need those comments, we need you to share. By the way, guys, share this video.
Yeah.
Share this podcast. Thanks. It is kind of scary.
Yes.
How dire it is, and how important it is for people to notice you and to like you and to see you as more important than someone else. Which
was a great ending. Question just popped right in my head. What do you think happened after the movie was over? So this is, if you remember, Jill's on the floor dead.
That's right.
But every reporter was on her side, like, she's a hero. Jill got exactly what she wanted. Do you think the real story came out?
Oh yeah. Absolutely, it came out because this bitch just tried to kill everybody again.
It's just funny how the story ended with all this fame coming out, or maybe it was just a way to say that her plan actually worked, and that she she got, and that she wasn't crazy. She did literally what? Well, she was crazy, but I'm just saying,
the
idea was
she didn't get the finished product she wanted, which was to survive and bask in her glory.
Yeah.
But still, it's like, you know, people say, I want to be famous. I want to be famous. I want fans.
It's all about the
And
fucked
that's
up
what she
thing
got.
that happens to you, was that
You know?
quote she gave, and I was just like, wow.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And then she grew up to be a Chanel.
And then that got canceled.
Yes. All right, so here's the last trivia question, and it is something significant with Screen 4. Give me the name of the director who directed all of the film clips of the Stab movies. So throughout the series, you see the Stab film being made, movie within a movie. There was an actual director who directed all of those. I want the name of that director.
Yes.
So just to go over the 4 questions again, Kevin Williamson's inspiration was based on a true story of what killer in Florida. I want his real name and his nickname in the papers that was given to him. Number 2, what is the name of the specific play that Sydney was cast in at her college in Scream 2? Number 3, give me the character's Carrie Fisher's character's name in Scream 3 during her cameo. And then lastly, again in Scream 4, who was the director of all the film clips in the Stab movies? We want you to email all of your answers to fearbias@gmail.com. That's fearbias@gmail.com. Email your answers. We'll be collecting them all through next week, and then next Wednesday we will pick a winner at random, and we will let you know that you have sole power of an episode to give us a topic and a movie to review, and we'll implement that in the next coming up episodes afterwards. So we're going to end this with a very quick bitch really, because you actually already brought this up, so we won't get into full detail.
I did?
Yes, you did. This is from Scream 3, and it is actually Matt Kiesler's character.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes.
Waste.
So, yeah, him basically going in and out of the house. And I get it. The scene was very funny. I get it. You didn't know exactly what to expect.
I didn't think it was funny.
But yeah, the fax machine in the movie was giving out clues as to who was going to die. Here's the thing. I don't mind that he went back in. It's the fact that you couldn't read it, and for some reason you decided to roam around the house looking for some kind of thing to light up the paper when you could have just taken it out and used the light outside
and
where
been
you're
with people.
Yes, been with people. For some reason he stayed in the house. He could have easily died just looking for light, regardless of how it happened.
Yeah.
It was a bitch move, and you a bitch for doing it. Bitch, really. You could have went outside, joined the others, and read the note amongst everyone. I get it. Somebody had to die, and that's the way, but better writing, folks. He didn't have to go out that way. There are better ways to do it.
Yeah.
That was just utter bullshit.
I think they just wanted to blow up the house.
Exactly.
They just needed an excuse to be like, oh, this is the 3rd movie, and we're doing big shit.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, that is my bitch, really. I don't buy it. Dumb move.
yeah.
Stick with people. Never alone. All right. Thanks for hanging out, guys. We appreciate this. I know we went a little longer than expected, of course, but this is Scream. And we also want to say rest in peace, Wes Craven. Always loved your movies. Sad that you were gone. And again, I hope that this, along with a lot of other people acknowledging you, continue to do that. You'll never be forgotten, and thank you.
And also, one thing I'd just like to add. This is the only series where all the original people pretty much came back every time.
That is right.
Wes directed every single entry, and I think that might have something to do with the way that Nightmare went. He saw how it kind of got away from his original vision, and maybe that is why he always felt so inclined to come back, because even though he didn't write it, he wanted to stay involved. He wanted to stay in the loop, because Nightmare kind of like did all kinds of stuff that he wasn't down with. So,
Yeah.
just an interesting tidbit. Thanks, Wes.
Thank you. And thank you guys for listening. Come back next week. Oh, and also keep a lookout on our YouTube page. we decided to reenact one of the famous scenes from the original Scream movie. So look out for that. We had a lot of fun filming that, and I got a little learning experience on how filming actually works. But I had a lot of fun, and hopefully you guys like the clip too. So look out for that, and see you next week.
I'll bet you it's good.